Welcome to Building Safe Workplaces, a podcast where experts dedicated to workplace health and safety review relevant industry topics. This podcast is brought to you by the Health and Safety Council.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our audience that's with us today. Today's another edition of Building Safe Workplaces, brought to you by the Health and Safety Council. I'm Dr. Tommy Heisler, the Chief Medical Officer here at the Safety Council. It's good to be back again hosting one of these podcasts, or participating at least in one of the podcasts. So we've got a great topic today, some good friends that are with us, and I'm going to just kind of go around our little roundtable here and ask everybody to introduce themselves. Just give us your name, give us who you work with, maybe how long you've been working with that company, what your role is, and maybe just a fun fact about you. Phillip?
So my name is Phillip Arroyo. I'm the Health, Safety, Environmental Manager corporate for AltairStrickland here in LaPorte, Texas. I've been with them for about 6 years, and previous to that I was the Health and Safety professional as well for other companies. I'm currently Assistant Fire Chief for the City of Deer Park as well. And fun fact about me is I love the University of Houston Cougars. I'm a life member with them and a diehard supporter for them. They were very close in the NCAA tournament this year, so we hope next year it's going to be even closer.
Great. Jeff?
Hey, Jeff Suggs. I'm the Emergency Service and Security Manager for Kuraray Corporation. I've been with Corary about 7 years now. Before that, I worked for the City of LaPorte. I was the City of LaPorte Emergency Management Coordinator, and before that, Dow Chemical. Little fun fact about me is I raise longhorn cattle.
Yeah, that's interesting. No idea, man.
It's
Cool.
tough.
Yeah, I bet.
All right, I'm Richard Bass. I'm with Corary America, HSENS. I've worked with them for about 22 years, and I've been really involved with HBR, Houston Business Roundtable. And I guess a fun fact about me is I built a car during COVID.
That's right, a beautiful car. Yeah, absolutely. What kind of car?
It's a replica of a 427 Cobra.
Very cool. Yep, I've got the privilege of seeing it. Very cool car.
Thank you.
Awesome. And Richard, you actually have another duty with HBR right now. Give us your role there.
So I'm the chair of HBR. So I work with our executive team, and we've put together a lot of different stuff. I think it was really, during COVID, it was really difficult because we weren't doing the in-person meetings. A lot of stuff happened. We were trying to keep things relevant, keep things, keep that camaraderie going, but at a distance, right? And I think that's all of us had to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly has been a wild and crazy past couple of years. We were just chatting before we started rolling, and it's been 3 years since we've had this banquet and the awards process, and that's kind of mind-blowing to think back and realize that COVID has consumed us for 3 years, right? Hopefully we'll be laughing about this, and saying, do you remember when? But we're still in the middle of it, unfortunately. So, today's topic is going to be about the banquet, the awards process, just kind of a lively roundtable discussion about your experiences throughout this process, what you've missed about it, what you're looking forward to, kind of giving the audience who may not have a clue what this awards process is all about and what it means to be at the banquet and what it means to nominate somebody, be nominated. Maybe give those people who don't know that process a little insight of what it is you do in part of that process, what it means to come to the banquet, what it means to be a part of an owner facility that nominates those contractors, and again, what you've missed in the past 3 years. Phillip, I know you've been an integral part of the awards process for a long time. Your face is always up on that screen when we talk about team auditors and what the importance of those auditors is. So first, I guess, tell me, how many years now have you been a part of this process?
With the actual auditing process, it's probably been 7 years. 7 years now. I've been an auditor. I've been a mentor. We have one best in class, and I wish I could tell you which year, but these last 3 years have been a jumble, so my timeline's messed up. But I think to the questions that you asked earlier, this is we live in a nice little corner of Texas here, where we interact with each other from various companies and different means here. So this is a family reunion when it comes back to doing the auditing process. It's seeing the same people in the room, sometimes seeing new people, but soon they become part of that family where it's just a family reunion that we haven't had in 3 years because of COVID. So the banquet we're really looking forward to, because now we could wine and dine and show up in our best outfits and be out there supporting people and showing them just showing them what the hard work that they've done up to this point to get to where they are. But I've been very, very involved with the process from auditor, mentor, and even winner in this process.
Absolutely. And, on the flip side, Richard and Jeff are on the owner side, right? Who have to, work with these contractors on a day in and day out and see the good and the bad and identify those that, really rise to the top and need to be recognized for what they're doing safe at the job site. So maybe Richard, walk us through a little bit of that of, how do you go about identifying a company that you think, hey, these guys are ahead of the game and what it means to be best of the best?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we look at incidents. That's a number one criteria with us. Look at recordables, things like that, things that happen at our site, with the different companies that we have working for us. And then we, talk about it with our group, and we determine which companies we'd like to promote and be able to, nominate. Yeah. The nomination process is, it's really good, because this is the best of the best. It's a competition, but I think what we've seen over the past 30 plus years that this process has been going on, there is a huge difference between companies that are nominated and participate in this process and the TRIR numbers of companies who don't. Right. Our local, just from, like he was saying, he's from LaPorte. Well, our sites are in LaPorte. So we, as safety professionals, what is our big thing? It's metrics. Metrics, right? We put all this information into these data files, and we're looking at it. And so when we're looking in our area, our TRIR numbers that we look at, the average in our area with about 47 different chemical plants there with contractors, it comes out to about a 0.37 on the TRIR numbers, which is great. It's way better than industry average. There's very little other occupations that are lower. I think one of the things this year, the only people that were lower were like CPAs, lower TRIR averages, right? But what we get from that, if we look at this year, the people who made finalists this year, their average TRIR was a 0.05. Amazing. That's what we're doing. So that is real numbers. Those are real injuries. And again, when we remind people, if you have a 1 on your TRIR, that means that 1 out of every 100 people get injured. So when you get down to a 0.05, that is really doing something. Yeah. And it's the competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Phillip, you've been participating now for, I think you said 7 years. What have you seen, you saw in 2019 with that group of nominees and you went through the audit process with those companies and you saw who got best of the best. Now we've had a 3-year gap, right? And getting to see those safety practices from those companies. Now we've come back in 2022 after having been gone for a couple of years, 3 years. What are some things that you noticed were different? Did you see, through the audit process that companies struggled to get back in line with the audit process? Did you think they did better this round? I mean, what was your overall take of having that gap 3 years and now we're back looking at safety records? What kind of things did you notice?
Well, I think some people took some time off during those those 2 or 3 years through COVID, but there's definitely people that continue to pour in to what they were doing, their processes, their plans, their policies, their procedures, and seeing them work out in the field, the actions. But we saw some very, this year we had a different auditing process, and that auditing process didn't involve us walking to those sites like we usually have been. So we had to do this auditing, these questions from a remote location, just for the best interest in everybody, for their safety and well-being. So there was a slight little change to it, but we were still able to have those conversations with these employees. I mean, one thing that did stand out from all those is that these employees at all times mentioned that they were cared for. They felt happy to be with their company. So even during this process of COVID, I mean, there was still the opportunity, or there was still a lot of involvement from management into the field hands, the people in the field. So, there's folks that want to be leaders, and there's folks that do not want to be leaders, and we definitely see that just in here during this process. That there's folks that just want to just do the minimum and get by, and others that really want to improve their processes. And even during time offs, even during pandemics, they're pouring into their programs to make them what they need to be. Those are the folks that deserve that award, the best in class, and so on. The other folks, maybe some recognition, but they also have some coaching that we give them, and that's what this process is about. Is we can coach these companies, whether you're doing well and give them some tidbits, or doing not so well, and give them an opportunity to offer improvements into their process, so that maybe next year it lights a fire under them, and they can be where they want to be, if best in class or gold or platinum or silver, whatever it may be.
Yeah. That's interesting. And I'll phrase this question to Richard and to Jeff, maybe, taking safety and security into mind. What challenges over the past 3 years did you guys have to deal with during COVID, and really come together and not only do you have to address the health and safety of that employee, but on the flip side, you also have to maintain that high level of security too, right? And they go hand in hand. You can't have one, you can't fix the COVID issue, but then you're lax on the security issue, right? I'm sure you guys had to really, push through some struggles during the past couple of years, as we all did.
Well, I mean, the entire workplace has changed, right? I mean, we all see that, and so like Phillip was saying, you have to do some things remotely now. We got a lot of key players that may be involved in the past. They're remote now, or they've left to go do a remote job. They're not with their company anymore. It was a struggle. Jumping through the hoops and putting all the mitigation pieces in place. I think everybody had to do that. Everybody had to adjust how they came into the sites. Everybody had to adjust how many people they could send. At one time it was, you could have 10 or 15 people, 2 or 3 trucks would come in the plant. Well, we're not going to do that anymore. We got to go through specific pieces of this. Now, the distancing, between the contract companies that you wanted to try to keep, plus the company employees, so that you wouldn't have some sort of community spread. And those people that stepped up and abided by those rules, or offered their own rules and their own mitigations and brought those to the table, they did great work. And there were other people that you just had to drag along. And those are, like Phillip had said, those are the people that maybe they need a different level. We need to do some more coaching with those folks. But those that wanted to step up, they wanted to be there, they wanted to continue to be involved, very, very important to us. Some of the best that we're talking about, we don't have to worry about them when they come to the gate. The gate check is in place. We put that in place. They're always green when they get scanned on their badge. We don't have any challenges with them. Those are the people that are nice to work with. The other ones, again, more coaching, more assistance with them is needed. But everybody, we're starting to get back into some of those same routines and some of those same normalcies. And now people are like, well, wait, what about us? What about us? I'm like, well, where were you last 2 years? Where were you? The last couple of years where we had challenges with you. And we just had to go a different direction with some of our people.
Sure. Richard, anything to add to that?
No, I mean, he said it. I mean, this is the thing. We live in a continual improvement world. Especially our industry. It's all about continual improvement. And if you're not continuing to improve, you're falling behind. And, at least for us, when we're looking at it and we're talking about these processes, whether it's security or it's, it's our own HSE manuals, it's our, processes and our procedures, which really for the HSEA process, the awards and all that stuff that we do, we see that. Because I can't tell you how many times I've been in where even our best in class, there's still so many areas that they can improve in. But that's what it's about, because, you said you've won best in class, but you still improved, right? You still found areas that you had to improve in, because if you rest on your laurels, you're done.
Right.
Someone else is coming up behind you, because, it's those processes.
Right.
But it really, during COVID and with all the stuff that we had to do, it really highlighted that stuff, because both of them said it. The companies that are in those processes and continually improve, they didn't have the same problems during COVID. Other companies who, for lack of better words, I guess just kind of sat back and waited, they're having problems. And it's not just about, getting into some place. It's all of it, and so I highly recommend that companies get involved in this process. Even if they're working for a company who's not a HBR member, those companies can still nominate people, and they have the ability to contact them and say, hey, would you mind, if you appreciate the type of work and the safe work that we do at your facility, please nominate us. They don't have to become members to nominate, but it really just highlights that need, and it puts those people in those positions to continually improve, which helps all of us.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you and our generous sponsors. Thank you for your support. Now, back to the show.
All right, we're back after a brief commercial break, I guess, right? So, let's talk about the overall process of the Houston Safety Excellence Awards, right? Because there is a process, right? We don't just make this stuff up every year. There's a process. There's a timeline from start to finish. And, it's good to be back, after 3 years of being off with COVID, and now everybody's on a clean slate, right? We're all dealing with COVID equally now, right? It's not a guessing game, or I guess maybe sometimes it is still a guessing game, right? But at least we're all on an even playing field right now. So, let's talk about, coming off the conversation about, nominating, getting involved. What's the first step in that nomination process? And I'll throw that out there to anybody. Maybe we'll start with you, Phillip. What is, if a contractor's wanting to get involved in this process, how do they get involved? What do they need to do to go about getting nominated from any job site that they're working in?
The first part is they've got to stand out. And the way they're going to stand out is by doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? And if it doesn't just go to their policies and procedures and saying, hey, we're following them. It's I'm also going above and beyond on that site that I'm working at. And during this auditing process, that's where we heard a lot of these clients talking about the people that they nominated. Is these folks not only did what they're supposed to do, what they're being paid to do, but they were going above and beyond doing other things in the plants that really was beneficial to everybody. So you've got to stand out. You've got to, we talked about metrics earlier. You got to have the right metrics. You have a couple fatalities on your tally sheet for the year. That doesn't need to put you in any type of award list. But so the metrics are important. Standing out and just making sure you have a good relationship with the client. I think that client relationship is important, because they need to be able to call on you when the time comes, and y'all need to be on a first name basis many times. And if thousands of people in any given plant at any time, there's at least the main contacts have to be there. So demonstrate that you're able to do the work and willing to do the work, and the next part comes to somebody like them, where now they have a list of who should I nominate, and I guess I'll leave it up to you to talk about that piece.
Yeah, I mean that's probably that step in there, is that communication between, if one of my companies comes to me and says, hey, would you mind, are we doing a good job for you? Would you mind nominating us? That says a lot right there. But taken out of that, we're looking at those companies, and then we go through and we're going through the nomination process. And that usually happens in from the late October till probably early January, that stage. It's a lot of people like to wait a little bit because they want to see if anything happens in October, November, and December, right? And so they want to, a lot of companies will kind of wait till that early January to nominate. I'm a little bit different. I see that the work that they've done so far. I'm looking into it. I want to get those nominations in early because I want to let them know I nominated you. Start working on your process. Get that stuff ready, because that's a major part of it. And then when we get into when that closes, then we go through the next stage, which is the finalist selection. And that's where, the mentors, which is companies like him who have won Best in Class the year before, and this year's a little bit different, but, we have those mentors along with the team leads who go through their category and they go through those books. And there might be, in each category, there might be, 10, 12 different companies that have been nominated. And so we're going through those books, and it's kind of a mini audit process, and we're going through those, looking at the metrics, but we're also looking to see, like with their management systems and things like that, and we're compiling that data and we're scoring it. And then depending on what the scores come out, that's how we determine who's going to make finalists. Now it could be 3 finalists, it could be 4 finalists. It really depends on that auditor. If it comes in where you got your top 3, and then your next 2 are really far away, well, maybe you end up just doing 3. But typically it ends up being about 4 companies per category who make finalists. And then once we do the finalists, then we have the thing that a lot of people wait for all year, the tailgate, right? And that's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun. We get, especially this year. Man, I think we set a record this year, didn't we?
Yeah, it was well over 1,000. We know that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it was a lot of people there. I think from what I heard, if we had more companies that wanted to have space, we might have to go to a bigger facility.
Yeah, hard to imagine.
Which is a good problem to have. Which is a really good problem to have. But it's a great event, and then it's a lot of it's safety themed. When we're doing stuff, and they're putting things together. So what we did 90s this year, so we saw a lot of different ideas, what people learned, from different things from the 90s, and they made it safety themed, and it was really cool. We had a good time going around to the different venues and checking out with the different companies and seeing what they were doing. But at the end of that day, that's where we announce each category, all the finalists for the category, and that's the start of now we're into the awards auditing season.
Right. And some of the questions I know we get, HBR gets, or even the Safety Council gets, you can have multiple companies nominated from a site. So it doesn't have to be, Kuraray's already nominated this company, so I know they're not going to nominate me. You can nominate as many as you want to, right?
Right. Yeah, it's not limited. And you might have 3 companies that do the same type of work, but maybe they're working at different sites or even at your own site. If you feel that they are worthy of moving on to the competition, you nominate them. Yeah. You nominate them. I mean, again, this is a great process, and it rewards everybody who participates in it. But ultimately, what it turns out to be is that continual improvement, because people participating in this are improving their systems, they're improving their safety, which makes it better for all of us.
Right. And I think that's important. An important take-home note is to say, even if you're a company that's never participated, you don't know what to do, you don't know what the criteria is, you don't know what the cutoffs are, just get involved. Just get nominated, ask for a nomination, get involved in the process so you can see how your competitors are doing, right? What sets them apart? What made last year's company win Best in Class? How can you take that piece of knowledge and apply it to your own company? And then next year you're going to do better, right?
Yeah, I think you mentioned something important there. Is anytime we're doing these audits, I think that the elephant in the room is that we're kind of there to steal a little bit about what someone's doing good. In safety, there's really nothing that's proprietary. It's we've got the mission. We're all aligned with that mission, and here we are trying to prevent injuries and prevent them and have them not occur, I guess. But the thing is if I can learn something from a company that can improve my process, then great. And if they can learn something from me to help them improve their processing rate. And that's just cyclical. It just goes around and around. And there's a lot to be learned from just by going through this process and on improving your systems.
Right. You know, and let's touch a little bit on the mentor aspect of this, because we've had some companies in the past that have won best in class, and then their mentality is, well, I won, I'm the best, I don't need to, you know, what more can this process offer? And that knowledge base of why you won is so important to then take and apply as a mentor, because now you're helping other companies in the process. So I know you've been a mentor, Phillip, in the past, so maybe speak a little bit about the importance of those mentors.
Well, I'll start off by saying we can definitely tell when someone's used their mentor or not used their mentor, and that is sometimes a best in class type of thing, and down here at the bottom. So the mentorship process is important because they've won for a reason. They can help you start. They've got a template in mind where they can help that new person coming in that's just been nominated develop their books, develop their criteria, develop just exactly what that paperwork is asking for, so that they don't leave something blank that could count for them. That is what the mentor is there for, and the mentor is there to guide them. But again, people have to reach out to that mentor, right? And we've seen it time and again. It doesn't matter how many times we mention it in some of these kickoff meetings. Use your mentor. Use your mentor. They're not using their mentor. So here I am on record saying, use your mentor, right? And people are available to help and want to help. You get up there and you win that best in class award or any of those other award categories there, and that's a good thing for that mentor as well. That's a pat on the back for them as well, because here they've helped a company that they've got nothing to gain from financially. That is, here they are just kind of being a big brother and helping them out through that process. So the mentorship process is important. It's needed, and it really helps to. It's not just a random, develop these manuals, develop these books, develop these criteria. The HBR will provide you the minimums, and now it's up to you on how well you want to make your book look, and how much examples you want to provide. How are you justifying that you're actually doing this program? And so very important.
Yeah. So we've gone through the nomination process, the finalist process, the tailgate. Now, if your company has made finalist selection, now you as a company are going to go through an audit process. So talk about the two pieces of that audit process of what you're looking at and what that process is. Richard, you want to tag on there?
Yeah, and I think a lot of what he just said about the mentorship plays 100% into that. But it's almost like there's two parts of that. So there's the companies that you can tell haven't used their mentor and don't have auditors participating, because there's so many people through this that, man, they're using their mentor, but yet they're not really believing their mentor, because they don't have someone that's been on an audit and coming back and saying, man, we really need to improve right here. We've saw that, I just went to an audit. This is what we're looking for. So it's that two-pronged approach, really, from the mentor and your own people participating in that audit, because it goes through management systems, but it goes into everything like these processes that you have. And by having the field verification, are you doing what you say you're doing? Because they could have an industry best practice where everyone's wanting to steal it and say, we're going to do this. And then they go to the field verification, the guys that go, those guys knew nothing about this. This is new to them. They said they haven't heard about that. Well, what does that say for your industry best practice if you don't have it implemented? And so that's what we're looking for. It's that checks and balances. It's that going through and saying, these are things that we've done. We look through. I mean, it goes from industrial hygiene monitoring, PSM, which a lot of our contractors at first for a long time were like, well, we don't really deal with PSM. Well, you do. There's different elements. You do the training. Your training of your employees is part of PSM. That's just the start. Now, incident investigations is part of PSM. There's all different elements of PSM, the 14 elements. There's different ones that affect every one of our, contractors. Using that management of change process, when you're changing your HSE procedures, are you using a management of change process? If you are, show that. because that's stuff that we're looking for.
Right.
And like I said, there's 27 different categories that we're going through in this process. So, not to get into each one, but there's so many of them that you can tell where they've either used their mentor or they have auditors or both, because they're nailing it. They're nailing it, and they're getting those, and they're figuring out ways where, hey, we really don't do this, but they've created those procedures and follow it because they know, hey, this is important. We didn't know because we didn't really do that before, but we know it's important in our industry to have these procedures, and that's where some of that stuff has really helped.
Right. And I've got the questionnaire here of all the criteria, and it's extensive. I mean, I'm sure you guys go through a lot. Not only the written policies and practices, but then also that field verification piece of it too, to make sure that, like you say, they're putting their action where their mouth is. And again, I think it goes back to, at the very minimum, going through the process and maybe identifying, we hadn't thought about that. They really asked us about this piece of our safety program. We don't have that in place. Maybe that's not so good. Maybe we need to go back next year and implement something so we can be on par with our competitors who are in this category. So just in that regard, going through the process is so valuable just in itself. Whether or not you win or you don't win, right? It's nice to win, but just going through the process, learning from your mentors, learning from your coworkers, learning from the auditors, and the whole process really, I think, makes a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think we need to clarify that everybody who participates in this, that makes finalists, they're all winners. When we talk who ends up being best in class to who ends up being gold or even silver, we're talking decimal points sometimes. Where you have on average 10 to 14 auditors in here, and where you're scoring it and you're coming in, you're going through each one, and at the end of it, you don't even know. Like, you wait and you go back and you hit that scoring, and you're like, wow, I didn't realize it was going to be that close. I thought this company had it, and then it ends up being this other company squeaked by because right over here in this other element, they really nailed it a couple times. And that makes a difference.
I think a lot of that just goes back to the attitude that they have when they go through the process, right? I mean, I've been asked to speak on behalf of 2 different companies that are going through this process. Didn't have a clue what they were getting into, and but they were excited the whole time because they realized they really didn't have a good management system in place. This helped them build a management system.
That's great, right? And that's the valuable piece right there, right? Doesn't matter about the gold or the silver necessarily, but just what did you learn? How did you make yourself better? That's great, guys. So you picked some winners, right? And then we get to celebrate those winners at our banquet that's coming up in just a couple of weeks. So, Jeff, you've been to our banquet before. What are you looking forward to this year?
Well, I think what we really have to realize is relationships and money make the world go round, right? So at the end of the day, it's about the relationships. Phillip's touched on that about a reunion, right? It's a big family reunion type thing. This is where you build those relationships. You see some of those things that people are doing. You're thinking, geez, I need a company that can do X. I find them here because these are the best, right? Yeah. Or these are the people that have gone out and done innovation, or these are the people that have those management systems in place where you're not going to have to assign somebody to watch the whole project that you have, right? I mean, we have a lot of projects, not just, process projects, but there are behind-the-scenes things that take place all the time, whether it be security and emergency, or, like I mentioned before, that gate check process, and how all those things have to flow smoothly from the time they come through the gate all the way through to where they leave at the end of the day, just the way they came. So I think the banquet itself is basically, it's a great networking tool, but it's a big relationship building process, and it's where you can, you didn't even know certain companies were there, and now they're there, and you take those notes, and you're like, I want to call that group of people after I get through with this because
Absolutely.
I need them.
Well, that's a big piece of why we do this process. It's almost like going to a hiring fair and having, okay, here's 2,000 applicants, but let's show you the best 10, right? Who are you going to pick from? You're going to want to pick from the best 10, and exactly right. It's going from start to finish the process to display those who are the best of the best, and who wouldn't want to work with those people, right? It's a proven track record of how good those companies really are.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about the safest companies, it generally falls into where they're also do better quality work too. You know, if they have that much attention to detail on safety and they're putting that much focus, the quality of the work that they do typically ends up being better, which at the end of the day, when you run projects, you don't have any issues, you don't have any incidents, or you have very few. The quality's better. They leave, we're done with that. It's usually like on schedule too, because if you start having incidents on that, it runs into overages. You're shutting the site down, or you're shutting that project down. So it all ties into each other. So if you want a more efficient workforce, look for the safe workforce.
Yeah, I'll add to that. You know, we tell our guys, hey, you can have the best quality of work, finished on time, done everything right, but you got that one person seriously injured. Boy, that will just that overshadows the on time, the quality. It overshadows that, and so you know, here we are, we're doing this process, and you know, this isn't a quality assurance, you know, quality type of process. This isn't you know, who can do it who can do this task the fastest. This comes down to the safety and health of our workplace and our workers, and so which can easily make or break you in the field. You start messing this stuff up. So rewarding process here that benefits a lot of people. We utilize subcontractors as well, and this is a great opportunity, like Jeff mentioned, to be out there and be able to select. All right, well, I've got two people here, or two companies that are doing this work. I need to subcontract this task out. I'm going to go with the guy that's up on that stage, not the guy that just sitting back here that paid for his chair just to be there. Right? So very beneficial. But you know, I'd like to hear what Jeff has to say on how he enjoys this banquet, because I know I do. I look forward to it. It's I don't know, maybe Beauty and the Beast, Disney ball type of event. I mean, the people they get dressed pretty well for this event.
They do. There's some nice looking people there. I may not be one of those, but nevertheless, I just get told, "Here's a table, please come." So I've enjoyed it. I really have. But again, you know, I think it is interesting. You know, you hear about certain people. I mean, you know, Corary has 5 facilities in the Houston area. I focus a lot on those, but again, you know, I get out and about, you know, with ECMA and do a lot of things with LEPCs and stuff, and so you see a lot of these people, but you never really see their work because they're not working for us. And my question back to our team is, why are we not picking those people to work for us? I mean, you know, those are the people that we want in the site, you know. And I'm not saying that the people that we have aren't good. I'm just saying that, you know, here's another option over here, right?
Competition.
Yeah, here's another option over here, and so. The banquet is great. It is good to get to mingle with some of those groups and find that next avenue for the next project that you may have. But it's a nice event, and looking forward to getting back to that event.
Absolutely.
And I hear they have a good MC.
Maybe. We'll see. Yeah. Well, it definitely is going to be definitely the best one we've ever had. We're in daily planning meetings about it, and we're always you know, trying to push ourselves to make it even bigger and better and more entertaining. And I can guarantee you this year is going to be the best overall. So we look forward to seeing you guys there at the banquet, those listeners that are with us today and on the podcast. Tables are going fast, so hopefully you guys can get a table before we're all sold out. If not, we highly encourage you to, you know, get involved next year, get involved next season. It will be here before you know it. You know, we'll be sending out those emails to call for nominations here in the next 6 months or so. So if you haven't participated in the past, please get active this year. We really want to meet you and get you involved in the process. If you've been away for a few years, we encourage you to get back into it. And we look forward to seeing you not only at the banquet, but then at the next award season next year.
Don't forget about the industry best practices that we do in June,
Absolutely.
where we highlight
Yeah,
all those
definitely.
industry best practices that we learned during this.
Absolutely. So what we do is we have everybody in our auditorium, hopefully back in our auditorium this year, right? That where you get to hear from those winners and why they won, how they won, what were their practices that set them far, you know, and above everybody else, and that's what it's all about, right? It's not like Phillip said, safety is not proprietary. You know, what are you doing that's saving lives? You need to share that with everybody. So we'll definitely be sending out the dates for that again shortly, and we look forward to seeing everybody on May 20th at at the Houston Safety Excellence Award Banquet. All right, take care.
Thanks for listening to Building Safe Workplaces. Be sure to tune in next time for another exciting episode. Till then, stay safe and stay healthy.